Hi, welcome to Hot Topics Live, the show, the podcast. I'm Kia Baker, and I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, Women Warrior Stories, and success coach at London Real Academy, where I have the distinct pleasure of connecting with amazing people from all around the world and oftentimes inviting them here with me to chat and share their knowledge and expertise with you. So, thanks for joining. And today I have another guest co host. I am so excited to have her back on Hot Topics Live. Is my girl, Diana Lanos from I Induce the Real Estate Podcast. And I am so happy to have you here, girl. If you have not seen Diana's episode of Hot Topics Live, go to my Hot Topics Live Facebook page. It's recent, so you don't have to scroll back that far, and you will see her episode. And spoiler alert, she sings at the end, and it was amazing. Okay? Amazing. And if you're watching on YouTube, it should be right there for you to see. So make sure you check it out, and you'll get to learn more about Diana. But tonight, she's my co host. So welcome back, girl.
Oh, thank you so much, Kia. It's such a pleasure to be here with you and with all of you, this magnificent audience that was participating so much at that interview. It was so amazing to feel that energy. Everybody talking about God, talking about life, like feeling the energy. And yeah, certainly that song was dedicated to you all. So yeah, you're welcome to see that episode too.
Absolutely beautiful. So tell me, how have you been since I last saw you?
Oh, very good. Working a lot spiritually, like emotionally in every sense. So we can keep up the energy, we can keep up the good vibration for everybody, for all of us, and like keep the love, which is the real power. So that's how we are. We're here in Mexico City, which is great. It's raining a lot. In summer, we get a lot of rain here, which is really good, but it gets really cold.
Ooh,
Yeah, and we're headed to Nevada City next week to make some more interviews. So, yeah, I will be posting about that too.
that's amazing. So how is your podcast going? Tell me everything.
Well, it's very, very good. I have like 13 episodes by now.
Mhm.
I haven't posted two of them, but you can wait for them. There's amazing guests there. Twee is there also.
Oh,
And yeah, so there's a lot of good things coming. There's a lot of people already texting me like they got like empowered by some episodes. And that is really, really healing for me because the thing about sharing knowledge is all about that, just to share happiness and to share that light that can bring happiness to everybody, right?
absolutely. I agree. I mean, it's why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
if you can impact one person in a positive way, like that's always my mission. It's just if I can just help one, then it ripples out. And who knows how many people you eventually will impact by just something simple as showing up and sharing your energy and your love, right?
Yeah,
So beautiful.
completely.
Beautiful. And you did bring up Twee. And well, I am super excited because she is here tonight and she is incredible. And I just want to share a little bit about her before I bring her in. Now, this woman is such a trailblazer. Not only does she command just everyone's attention the minute you see her, but she's so hardworking and so dedicated to everything that she does, whether it's being a Chanel executive and working in that world, or creating her podcast to share her vision and her passion about beauty with the world. It is just incredible to know her and to hear what she thinks about beauty and what inspires her. And so I'm really excited to have her here. And what do you think? Should we bring her on now?
Yeah, totally. Let's bring Twee. This amazing woman.
Hi guys, as I'm sitting there listening to both of your voices, I swear I can meditate to both of your voices. They're both so lovely to say that Diana's voice, I'm not joking, Diana, when I heard you sing, it was like the angels singing, and it gave me chills. Listening to your voice gave me chills. It felt so out of this world. It's insane, your voice, but insane in a very good way.
Thank you so much, Twee. You know, that's a big process in my life, because bringing the voice to the world means like maturing my own self and like getting over all my emotions. And that's my process, and that's what I can share right now with all of you, because I just can sing whenever I do it with love, and that's real. If I'm nervous, if I just cannot do it. So I
Your
really, really
voice is
appreciate it.
insane. It evokes all sorts of things that I think you don't even know that you have in your body. So it's like, it evokes more than love. I mean, if I had that kind of voice, I wouldn't even talk. I would just sing all day. And I would be annoyingly singing if I had her voice. It was insane. I think I was in the bathroom and, I was in Mexico. Diana, I don't know if I told you the story. I was in Tulum, and when I played your voice, this weird rattling started to take place in my room. And I swear it was like, I felt like it was another spirit or something that was in the room, but it evoked something. Like, call me weird for saying that, but something I had it was like this weird, like, and it did it for quite a while. So hopefully it was a good spirit, but either way, I'm telling you, your voice evokes things.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you. Yeah,
That's powerful.
that's the intention. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. That's so powerful. What did you say? Thank you.
So, Twee, where are you now, and what time is it?
You know what? I'm in San Francisco right now, and the time is 6:08 p.m. Yeah, I'm in San Francisco. It's cloudy. It's not quite summer. It's the coldest summer. What did they say? Mark Twain once said that the coldest summer that he's ever experienced. I'm so bad when it comes to quotes. Like, I don't remember what he said, but he said something along the lines of how it was the coldest summer he's ever experienced was in San Francisco. I mean, it feels like it's fall right now. I'm looking outside of my window and it's all gray and we're not experiencing summer, but the ability of being in California is at least I get to escape and I can travel 30 minutes away outside of San Francisco and then instantly be transported into something that's glorious and to experience a true summer. So, and wine country. So Kia, I've been trying to get her to come out to wine country. Well, you've got wine country in Oregon too, but California wine country. And Diana, you're more than welcome to if you drink. I don't know if you drink, but if you do, we can do a girls trip.
No, yes, and actually, you girls, like, you should visit us in Nevada City. Like, you're both very close, so we could. Like,
Wait, you're in Nevada City, not Mexico?
Right now, I'm in Mexico, but I'm gonna be there next week.
Are you moving there forever, or are you just visiting?
I'm always coming and going.
What's in Nevada City?
Uh-oh, did we lose her?
What's in Nevada City?
Oh, I lost you.
Diana?
Can you?
I am hearing you now. Yeah, I can hear you now, I think. But you're frozen.
Okay.
There, you're back.
What did you ask me?
I asked you, what's in Nevada City?
David, my marketing team, like a lot of things are there for me. I was living there for like 2.5 years or so. Okay. Now I came to Mexico City to make some arrangements and with the agreements of the father of my son. But like my business requires me to be traveling around the world, researching, like that's all my business is made of. Like my experiences through other cultures, other individual cultures. That's why for me it's so interesting to be talking with you girls and everybody else. That's the reason of the podcast. Like I feel you girls and everybody nurtures the world in so many magnificent ways. I'm not joking. Like we all are such like key notes for the universal harmony, right? So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm raising also a corn company, sprouted corn tortillas. There,
really?
Yes.
Wait, why I missed that. What was that?
Sprouted corn tortillas.
Flour company. Oh, okay, got it.
Sprouted, yeah.
Okay. Sprouted corn.
Oh,
yes. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. So another business for you then, Diana.
Yes.
You're a serial entrepreneur, I
You're
see.
starting to sound like Kia.
Yeah, I just left it like like a little bit. I stopped it for a while because my other business, the company Hub Kamal, like was taking so much energy, and now it's starting little by little. Like the team is working better, so I can like start moving forward, and I'm gonna continue with that other thing. So
Oh,
Cool.
amazing.
yeah,
Wow. Well, you heard it here first. I did not know you
yeah.
were doing another business. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
I have a question for you, Twee. I love everything that you do with beauty and how dedicated you are to helping people to discover that beauty is more than just skin deep, to be cliche about it. Oh, hi, baby. My girl turned up today. We are all
Gorgeous.
interconnected.
Lily is
Yeah, she is
gorgeous.
gorgeous, right? She's in San Francisco too. So when I
Gorgeous.
come down there, I'm gonna like get us together because
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to have such a global girl gang. That's what I call it, and I just have girls all over the
Global
place that are
Girl Gang
incredible.
is the best.
Yeah, right. I know you have one too, and
I
I get
do.
to be part of yours.
I do.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that. So I wanna find out how your beauty journey began.
How did my beauty journey begin? I mean, it's funny because I never imagined that I would be in beauty ever. Like if you look at pictures back when I was younger, my mom dressed me in boys' clothing, secondhand boys. I don't know why boys' clothing, like here and there, that's all we could afford, but she would make me dresses on special occasions. And I look back on pictures and I'm like, I wasn't that cute. Like I, I had a really cute personality and that's what saved me. But physically, I wasn't so cute. So I never imagined that I would be in beauty. And I think one of my my first jobs were in cosmetics. So it was on the ground floor. And I always loved, through high school, I loved fashion. So I loved fashion and I loved makeup and watching my mom always put herself together. So regardless of how much, I mean, we didn't have money growing up, but my mom was always impeccably dressed and always woke up and always made herself feel like $1,000,000. And I think I remember looking back at 3, looking at my mom thinking like she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I think that's always resonated with me. So for me, I've always tried just a little bit harder. So when I wake up in the morning, there's something about being able to transform and not just being able to transform physically, but what I learned later on the cosmetic floor when I first got my start is that every woman, man, every person has something beautiful about them in terms of features. And if we can enhance that in a way to make them feel more empowered so that they can conquer the world, so that they can get the job, so that they can get the man, so that they can just be more confident, that's really what inspired me to stay in the world of beauty, but to take it even further. So, I mean, the premise of the podcast that I have right now is it's hard to, I think for anyone, it's hard to adopt a routine. It really is. Like staying on top of a routine is difficult. So in our world, we're always like, okay, Americans are so freaking lazy when it comes to routines. You go to Asia and they slap like 15 products on their skin, and this is why they all look like they're 12 years old. But in the US, we're so freaking lazy. But I'm glad that we're starting to really, you're hearing so much about like self-care, and self-care is taking the routine even further. So if you decided to do one more thing in your skincare routine that makes you feel empowered, where you're seeing the improvement, because the reality is results is what makes you want to keep going. So for me, it's the idea of taking that routine even further. So taking that routine further to not only just capture the face, but to capture mental health, to capture the spirit, to capture the soul, to thrive in an environment that pressures us to move really fast, to look like everyone, to succeed, to to be acceptable. I mean, I think it's difficult living in this day and age. Like I feel really bad for the kids today. I feel like there's a blessing and a curse to the youngins in this generation. I think the plus side is that they're starting to embrace body positivity. And the plus side is the fact that they're embracing mental health. Back when I was growing up, if anyone admitted that they were seeing a therapist, right off the bat, you would be judgmental and be like, what's wrong with this person? And you would be giving them a side eye. But today, we're all embracing the idea that everyone is going through something. And the idea is to be more compassionate. So if we can try to beautify not just the face, but solidify ourselves through the soul and through our mind, then we can start to see the world in a more beautiful way. And I feel like I see beauty all the time, and it's like almost been like a blessing and a curse. So it's been a space where a lot of times it does feel like pressure to keep up with the Jones, I feel like. But the older I get, I can't give a fuck anymore. I mean, it's true. I can't care what other people think. And Shauna, my latest podcast that I finally produced, like I kind of had a major slowdown, but I've had this podcast. I recorded it forever. I just never published it. I have this girlfriend called Shauna she went from like NBA dancer to owning a confidence studio in San Francisco and teaching women who are not really dancers, but empowering them, creating this incredible community, to being a crystal healer and practicing with energy. And what was my purpose in bringing this up? I was kind of going on what was I talking about prior?
You were talking about like don't giving a shit anymore.
Oh, so
this is really interesting.
Thank you. So what she was saying is like she moved back to her hometown, Oklahoma, where she opened up a crystal shop. And she said now, like when she was on the NBA team, they had to look like everybody. You're selling a brand. She wasn't really allowed to be her authentic self. So she found her way out of that. And now she walks down the street in Oklahoma. It's like Donald Trump Capitol, and she's walking down the street with like dreadlocks, and people are looking at her like, who's this crazy girl? But she doesn't give a shit. But it's true though. The moment that you give a shit, you can't care what people think because it takes away from your personal journey. And I'm kind of learning that more and more each time. If you're a compassionate human being and you know that you care about somebody, but not caring about what they think when you're being true to yourself, that's when you start to evolve as a human being. And this is when you start to embrace more beauty in the world. And I think that's the struggle with everyone today, is that we, in the beauty cosmetics too, is there's this, it's not about the more beautiful you are physically. It's kind of a balance of both. I think also with reversed aging, people look at me and they think I'm like 30 or 20 and I want to look 30 forever. And I generally feel like I'm reverse aging because I don't care anymore. I want to have fun. I want to work hard and I want to go at my own pace. And I think, and I'm going to admit that I'm still struggling with that today, is constantly reminding myself to give myself compassion and self-love, is to make the actions happen, but also take a moment to pause and ask myself, why am I doing the things I'm doing? Am I doing these things? Are they aligned with what I really want? Am I doing it for society or am I doing it for myself? If I know that I'm doing it for myself and I know that what's going to come out of my action is also going to benefit others, then I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. And I can't, and we're all talking about like where, I have to be honest, this podcast thing really tripped me out for a second. Like I was full force when I was in the podcast academy, and suddenly I really slowed down because I got really busy. I also was really stuck in my head, to be honest with you. Like, I think that sometimes imposter syndrome feels like a real thing, where I was constantly like, people see me in a certain light. And I don't want to come off like a rookie, but in order to overcome imposter syndrome, you've got to, what is that saying is, you've got to fake it until you make it. It's actually not faking it. It's owning your light, to step in, to take ownership, and to accept that, you're going to be a rookie and it's okay. And nobody's going to even remember when you're a rookie, but they will remember when they supported you through that journey and believed that you can get from point A to point Z. And even if you're not point Z yet, we have to applaud ourselves for starting the journey, because that's half the battle. Is everyone is afraid to start the journey. And I looked at a quote today, and it's like one of my favorite quotes is, fear stands for two things. Fear can be forget everything and run, which I've wanted to do so many times when I was faced with the challenge, like, throw it all down and run, pack your bags and run, or to face everything and rise. And the reality is, anytime we are faced with a challenge, or anytime we're faced with negative self-talk, it's telling us something. It's telling us to slow down, to look at what is the message there. If we're feeling uncomfortable, we've got to reshift in some way, and we've got to fail in order for us to rise. And it's okay to fail. So, I feel like in the past month, I'm getting back to myself, and it feels good to have this balance of doing it from a place that's authentic. I was, I don't know. I was going on the story in my head of like, what am I doing and why am I doing this? There's no benefits right off the bat. But I know at the end of the day, like you said, Kia, you said a really brilliant thing when we first started the Podcast Academy. It's like, if you can touch one person and that cascades, that ripple effect is so powerful. You think you're touching one person, but really you're not. If you're touching 3 people, you're probably touching, I don't know, even more than that. So the reality is, it doesn't matter the quantity, it matters the quality. And, I think that's one of the valuable lessons during this whole COVID situation too, is that we need to keep increasing our quality of life, our quality of thoughts, our quality of actions, our quality of feelings, our quality of everything. And sometimes it forces us to reshift, and people don't like to change behavior, because when they change behavior, they suddenly get stuck in their head that they're imperfect, and they go on this tangent of down this dark rabbit hole, self-pity and just victimization. And so people it's more comfortable to sweep things under the rug and keep living this fake reality versus embracing those things and then saying, you know what, it's okay. This is what I have in front of me. I'm going to shift it. But I've also got to look at all the positive things that I have too. And there's something to be said about the more you can see beauty, the more beauty starts to come. But the more beauty you can see, even in the challenges here, it's easy to see beauty when life is easy. But what about when you can challenge yourself to see beauty and the good things when life is challenging, when life throws you all these difficult curveballs? Here's the thing is, we don't live in third world countries. If we lived in a third world country, I think it would be more difficult to work around it. We live in the US. We're very privileged in so many different ways, and privilege shows up in different forms. So it's like, what are we going to do with the privilege we have, our own privilege in our own way, to raise awareness, to spread the wealth of knowledge, to contribute to society, and not be so selfish where it's just about us. And if it doesn't affect me, why should I raise other people up? A lot of people unfortunately think that way. And I think that's quite a shame, because no society ever thrives off that. Truly, there's such a discrepancy in income and unhappiness when we're not acting together. So anyways,
I agree with you, but I couldn't stop you and interject, because you were saying so many beautiful things, and they need to be heard, they need to be expressed. And I agree with just everything you said, from using, our beauty regimens and self-care to help us to feel empowered so that we can go after whatever it is that we want in life, to, being, aware of what we need to be doing in our lives to just move forward and get out of our ego and accept being a beginner, because we're always a student and we're always a teacher, right? Like, there's just so many more things. I mean, Diana, what do you think about everything she was saying?
I just wanted to add, like, I am right now in a third world country, and exactly, I think that empowerment, that privilege, we all have it. Like, we all, like, living beings, we all have that privilege, and we all have that power, and that what you just said is super important because it's empowering, and it's sometimes it takes for us to leave the pride, or at least that's my biggest like test, you know, like to down my pride and then be able to actually act, as you said, like loving myself. And that is such an important, like, magical thing that we can do for ourselves, you know, just act as if everything was good, you know, just act as if we were like, you know, like that quality state of mind. And that's super important to me.
Well, I think too, what was I going to say is you're right in terms of we all have privileges in our own way. I think being born is actually a privilege. And even if you had a disability, we've got to look at where our privileges and where, who says it? It's somebody says like abundance is our birthright. The moment that we are born, there is some sort of abundance, but the only way we can increase the quality of life is to see the beauty that exists. However, for those that, you know, who have had like one shitty thing happen after the other, it is difficult for them to see where the beauty lies. It is. And we've got to kind of accept that. And they've got to accept it, is that, you know what, you had a shitty pile of cards that were handed to you. But the reality here is, what can you do now to not be the victim and to shift it? So is it, what can you do to better your relationships or to better anything? And I think a lot of times people don't take accountability. So I think that there is something to be said about seeing the things that you don't like. You have to actually acknowledge them in order for anything to shift, and you have to acknowledge in order to let go. You can't let go of things unless you acknowledge what you were given that you don't like, and then think about how you can shift it. Everyone has something they can work on, but I think a lot of people don't want to look at it. They don't have to look, they shouldn't look at it as a bad thing either. They should look at it as, how do I improve the quality of my life, but also the quality of everybody else around me? How do I improve the quality of their lives by starting with myself and by improving my own life? I think that's huge there, is starting with the individual person and looking at what we can do with our own individual privilege. We're privileged in so many different ways, and everybody, you're right, everybody has some sense of privilege, some more than others. But I think, you know, it's funny, you know, the company that I work for, they allowed me to recently do a presentation. I had the honor of partnering with someone called Sean Snell for the diversity and inclusion department. And we did a presentation on allyship. And we talked about, I mean, let's be honest, Chanel's a company where a lot of people are privileged to still have their jobs, to be wearing Chanel, to be getting the discount and what have you, and to be looking bougie. Like it's a privilege, but we also can't shame people for being born into privilege, but what are they going to do with that privilege to help others and to raise the voices of others that aren't heard, you know? So I think that with everything we've been through, that it's our responsibility as human beings to keep being aware, keep being aware within ourselves, but also to promote awareness so that we are living better lives together. You know, we can have fun, but I think that just to step out of automation and to step into more conscious behavior, you know, and there's moments where I'm like, oh God, I feel like the more awake I become or the more aware I become, sometimes I'm like the weirdo. But again, it goes back to, you can't care what other people are thinking, you know? I mean,
never that. I just posted something on my Instagram at Creativity that was about authenticity. And it is so important because it sometimes feels like the whole world is trying to tell you not to be who you are, to try to suppress yourself in some way so that you can conform to what, you know, society deems is beautiful or successful or whatever. And it is so, I'm like you, Twee, as I'm getting older, I just do not give a fuck. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you're not 18, click off. If you don't like strong language, click off. And we may not, We may not agree with everything that our guests say, but we believe in their right to express their opinion. So, and as a veteran, I fought for that right. So everybody has it when they come to my show. So those are my disclaimers. I forgot to say them. There they are. But like I said, I don't give a fuck. At this point, I am just going to do me and just live in my authentic truth. And you can love it or not like it. If you don't like it, you click off, you scroll off, or you just don't talk to me anymore. That's fine. When I was younger, I cared so much what other people thought that it was like a miserable experience to be me, because I spent too much time caring what other people thought. And older I got, like at probably around 17 or 18, I started to shed that. And more and more and more throughout the course of my life to this point, honey, I give zero fucks what anyone thinks about anything, about the way I look, speak, anything.
I will say this, though. I do care if I truly respect and I trust the person. Because sometimes in development, honestly, I feel blessed to say that through my cosmetic career, I did have some really, really hardcore mentors where they were really raw and they were, you know, Eastern European women who gave it to you straight. And I remember one of them told me, like, Twee, you're more than a pretty face. Like, you can't just stand there and look pretty. You got to make it happen. I looked at her like, oh my, what did she just say to me? And so I went out there and like I showed her I can sell, and we had a killer day. And it was my, you know, from that moment on, I kind of changed my mindset, and I was like, actually, she needed to say that to me. And I do care what people I trust say, and I care when I know that they care. I care when I know that they care enough to give me feedback that is honest and real so that I could better myself. So the reality sometimes too is legit. Yeah, we can't live in delusion either. And that's my point of like, you know, not giving a fuck if that person's really, you don't know them that well, you know, then who cares?
Like, sometimes even people you do know well, it could even be family sometimes whose opinion that you have to set aside and just continue to do you. But I do agree with you. There are some people that you know that they care about you and they want the best for you. Then of course you're going to care to that extent. But really, it's also up to you to decide how you're going to feel about that feedback, right? The feedback you got that pushed you to do your best sales day could have done the exact opposite for you and sort of completely demoralized you and made you perform even worse. So it's all in, you know, who you are and how you are, and also the person and their intention. Because I think intention, it has a lot to do with whether I'm going to care what you think or say to me. Also,
I'm glad that you bring up intention, you know, and it's like I had a conversation 2 years ago. I did a talk at a nonprofit, you know, organization, and we kind of discussed the difference between intention and goal setting, right? So like goal setting is something that specifically, it's more specific, whereas like an intention is really your why, and it has to do with the way you really want to feel. So an example of that could be maybe your goal is to lose 10 pounds. But what is your why? Your intention is so that I could be more healthy, to take care of my family, so that I can live longer, so I could be healthier, so I can function longer, so that I can run, so I can play with my kids. That's a true intention. So if we continue to wake up every morning to practice intention and to keep the intention top of mind and to align our intention with our actions and our behavior, that's where we win. But that's not the easiest. Like I have to say, for a long time, I would have these intentions, but my old behaviors would start stepping in, and it's difficult to reshift. But the more you practice awareness, that's when you're like, okay, I see you. I see you coming in, and I see you wanting to do, you know, to take over Twee's body. But I see you and I get why you're doing it. But don't worry, we got this. We're stepping forward. Maybe I'll use you later for something else. But like, you know, I think that as long as we are embracing intention to the fullest, and we say what we intend to do, and we understand what our truths are behind the intentions, then we'll win. But I think, again, that's a hard thing to do. People throw that word out like it's, I don't know, like it's going out of style, and it should be taken a little bit more seriously, you know, and seriously in the way that it's it'll bring more value to your life and to the lives of everyone else that reaches your orbit. You know what I mean? Like, you look at some people, and I feel bad for the ones who are just so miserable, but they're also, it's this cascade effect of the misery that you start to attract as well. You can shift out of that. So even if you're going through a depressive state or whatever, it's just one small thing at a time, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing that she's talking about attraction, because I was just thinking about the inner beauty, right? And you're promoting the inner beauty, and the inner beauty is also, it comes from the spirit, which is invisible, which is like in every religion, it's like the no name for it, right? It's like the all power, the everything. And the body is just a reflection of that we create for ourselves. So actually, like, it doesn't matter like if we give a fuck or we don't give a fuck. What matters is that we feel satisfied with what we're thinking, doing, feeling, I don't know, like saying every moment of our lives, because that's what we are going to attract in others and in ourselves, right? Like, that's what we are going to express.
That takes work, though. That takes work.
Yeah,
it takes work for a lot of people, but I'm with you. I feel like, you know, we're born with these spirits, and our body basically houses it. So it's like, do the best of what you're given. And the idea of like, and I'm not like trying to, mine's more like, I feel like it's like a solid type of beauty. So inner and outer. Like there's such thing, they call it, what do they call it? They call it in-clothed cognition. So it's when you dress the part, you suddenly start acting the part. And it's like when you wear Chanel perfume, it makes you want to suck in your stomach a little bit more and stand up a little bit taller and be proud. And, you know, and it's there's something to be said about when you try your best for the body, for whatever that you're given, and you solidify and you just try. Each day you try a little bit harder, but it's for you. It's not for anybody else. It's for you and maybe for the people that you love around you. And once you start to get results too, and the reality here is, as human beings, we need to start seeing results in ourselves, in the society, just period. But, you know, so results really do breed more results. So if we, and Kia, you're good at it. You're a success coach. So the idea there is like to get people to feel the results, but to understand what their intentions behind those results are. There have been moments, like I said, where I was so task oriented that I was driving, but I forgot what the intention was. And it's like, I drove so far and I'm like, oh, wait a second. Why did I go on this journey to begin with? So as long as we can continue to remind ourselves, you know, and for some people it's more difficult than others. Me, one of them for sure, you know, because my old self moves at 180 miles per hour. My new self moves at 120 with intention.
I feel that. And it's exactly right what you said about needing results, right? So the DeFi Academy is the new sort of section of London Real Academy, and it's all about cryptocurrency and the world of finance within cryptocurrency in that world. So with this course, it was interesting to see the students because they had to take actions and they had to put these theories in practice. It's the same thing with all the other courses at London Real. Just this one, you had to put, you know, skin in the game. You had to put money on the line, right? And so, and just very small amounts, but it was interesting to see the dynamics and how people's thought process worked. Right? Because the real struggle was that barrier of taking action. But as soon as they took action and put it in practice, and they could see the result of the action that they took, they really integrated the learning. And that's kind of how it is with everything. So when you decide for yourself that you want to, you know, start wearing makeup, or you want to, you know, look a certain way, you want to change your look and reinvent yourself, so to speak, and you go out and people say to you, wow, you look really pretty, and you get that result, right? You've now put it in practice. You had this idea that maybe I want to change my hair color, or I want to change, you know, my style of dress or whatever, and you went out and you did it, and then you got you put it in practice, and then you got positive reinforcement, you got a result, the result you were hoping for. Right? Because we all want that positive, good result and affirmations, right? whether you take them into heart, like I'm always very flattered. However, it's most important for it to be for you. You know what I mean? So if you're walking out of the door feeling good, that's already the win. I just want to make that clear. You know, just says that's ABC's and one.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite Instagrammers always says. And so it's like really important to have that that result. And that's with everything, with in work, with career, in your relationship, to know what the desired result is. And when you get it, it builds that confidence within you to keep going. And then you get more results and more results and more results. And then it's just, it's happy.
I think too, the idea is to not give up on yourself. And that's so easy to do is, the moment as human beings that you're like, I would rather stay in my comfort zone versus embark this thing and feel like I might have the potential of failing. Like it's so difficult. So it's the idea of trying for yourself and trying to get to the next level and just trying for yourself and not giving up on yourself. And to me, it would sadden me, like in the world of beauty, another thing that really stood out to me is when I started off on the cosmetic floor, for me, it was incredible for me when I told a woman like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. You look stunning. Or anytime I gave a woman a compliment, she would look at me like she never received that compliment before in her life. And to me, what really resonated is how sad it is that people don't often hear what's beautiful about them. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to be telling ourselves those things each and every day. And we need to not give up on ourselves to put on that makeup, no matter what you're going through. And there is something about even on your shittiest day. And I've told myself, even when I had too much to drink the next day, I will force myself to look my fiercest even more so that I could hide it. But like, that's when I try even harder is just to not give up. Have I had those moments? Absolutely. I had those moments where I was down in the dumps and I just wanted to completely hide underneath a rock and victimize myself. But the idea is each time you fall into victim mentality is to think about how can I be more solution-based for myself? Because the longer I allow myself to slip, the more difficult it'll be to get underneath that rock. So, to Kia's point too is, and Wilmer said it really brilliantly. Wilmer, said something about, and he was because I asked him like, how do you, when you are working with the clients who say, they're 400 pounds and they've never began to think about diet or their health, like, how do you get them to pick up these habits of taking care of their gut and to speak the conversation of healthy foods when they've been eating poor foods their entire life? And he said something very simple and it made me laugh, but it's true. It's, you start with putting on one shoe at a time, one sock at a time. And each day, that's a win. If you're putting on a shoe and you did one more thing that you didn't do the day before, you're already winning. So you can only compare yourself to you the day before, and that is it, and track your own process versus the entire world and what they're doing, because everybody was given a different set of cards, everybody. And all you could do is play the hell out of your cards or throw them away, and don't throw them away.
Wow. That's amazing. What do you think, Diana? What were you saying, Diana?
Can you hear me there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just saying that the step-by-step is very important. And there was this comment about Tendai about the importance of like exuding that inner beauty, right? Like it was like, like the inner self is more important, and lots of times you exude that same positive or energy from inside, right? And I feel like that step-by-step, like just saying once in the morning, like being grateful for something you did, or just thinking about today I can do this, even if it's like a little thing that you feel it's like nothing, that's so important. So important.
And today, like, again, it's whatever makes you feel good, inner and outer. But what I'm going to say is if people start with outer, then I am going to challenge them to go more inner. And if you do inner, that's probably the hardest work of all time. But for me, I wanted to take this platform of beauty and to to really solidify on every single form. You know, we live only one life, so why not step into the best versions of ourselves? And even that includes like I like makeup. I think it's fun, and it's like there's like an art. There's an art to transformations and being able to balance out the face. It's utilizing skincare in the best possible way too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But I'm with you. A face is a face. It doesn't mean anything if you don't have the inner soul. There's plenty of people that I've met in my life where they might be physically beautiful, but once they open their mouth, I'm like, ugh.
I think we've all met some people like that.
Yes, exactly. We've all, so, you know, to Dai's point, inner beauty is absolutely more important.
Because what do you recommend for the people that has no access to these like material world kind of?
Then they go inner, and there are home remedies that you could do to make balms. Like there's so many YouTubers that show you how to make balms, to use avocado oil, to use home remedies. So just every little thing, you know, there's access to those things. But if they don't have access to any of those things at all, then you absolutely work on inner beauty. And inner beauty is, I think, a lot more powerful. There's moments where you look at somebody and I really do believe in the aura. You know what I mean? So you can see someone from a distance away, and you may know nothing about them, but you look at them and there is something about them. There's a magnitude, and it's that inner confidence. It's that inner peace. It's that groundedness, and it's that inner beauty that is so important. I agree. But if you can have both, why not? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel like in the end, it's all about like what you think about the products, right? It's like, okay, so you feel like Chanel, for example, right? That, as you said, like you put that perfume and you just want to like feel taller, and you want to put the belly in, and you want to
sexy,
be in the high heels, right? You feel sexy, yeah. But in the end, it's just a thought that we're having about those things. So yeah, we might have like, I have friends that hate perfumes, like they just hate it. I had my episode in life where I hated, I couldn't stand any perfumes. But I felt so like beautiful when I was bathing in the sea. I was living in Ibiza at that time, for example, right? Or I was just naked. It was like the most sexy, like beautiful and natural and empowering thing to be able to be naked all day and nobody would say anything. Right?
Freedom is beauty. I would say that. But also what I will say is, like, here's the thing about Chanel too that I love. It comes off as, you know, people can call it pretentious or what have you, but what I will say is that there is something in craftsmanship. It's the history, it's the layers, it's all the hands that were involved in making something that you can feel the texture, you can feel the quality. And as I said, again, it's not really about the quantity of things. Sometimes it's about the quality. If you go to, I really appreciate a lot of the Europeans for this, is that, you know, certain parts of Italy that I went to, it's not that they had a lot of clothing, but they always had like quality pieces here and there, but it's the craftsmanship that goes into it. So for me, in wines, in beauty, in clothing, in people, I appreciate the layers, the texture, what it took for that person to become what they became, for a shirt to become what it became, or a perfume to become what it became. So not just because it's a label or a name brand. And the idea there is anyone that wears it, they understand the story of it, and then they appreciate the layers of it, and not just because it represents this prestigious thing to brag about how high their status is in comparison to others. I just want to make it clear that that's not what it's about there. It's just about appreciating the layers if they can afford it. And if they can't, they shouldn't feel bad about it either. They'll still get that same quality in the first lipstick that they purchase. Their mascara that they purchase, it's the first experience there. So, you know, it shouldn't be. And here's the challenge, is that I think sometimes in the world of beauty, it shouldn't be meant to create insecurities. It should be meant to empower. So that's the huge difference there. Is that's what we need to be doing more of. We're not shaming anyone. We shouldn't be shaming ourselves, nor should we be starting insecurity. It's embracing every aspect of whatever you're at. And if you can afford Chanel, and if you can't, like, no big deal. And if you decide that moment that you're like, you know what, I'm going to treat myself to something because of the layers, the way it feels on my lips, the way it sits on my skin, the way it makes me look, then you're allowed to have it.
I love that. I absolutely love it. And I do think, finding, it's not just about your inner beauty and your outer beauty, but also finding the beauty in these things, right? And I think that was a really good point that you made, because it's not necessarily about the label or the brand, but it's like the texture and the energy that you get from it and the sensation that it gives you, that feeling, right? For some people, it is a designer bag. So for some people, it's the hand of their child that gives them that feeling. But it's what gives you this feeling of this special, like, warm and loving energy, and that is beautiful in and of itself. That's just a whole nother type of beauty.
I would say it's peeling back the layers, like in the environment even. So if we think about, beauty in all aspects, if you are going to, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts when someone purchases something expensive and they just throw it around and they have no appreciation for it and they don't care about the history. Like that's one thing that really irks me. But if we can see the layers and everything, so from things to things that are not things, to the tree, to nature, to the environment, how things get, like, everything is connected. And we just sometimes don't slow down enough to appreciate how things are made, so that even requires, awareness too. And that's how we can see more beauty, is when we think about how something was created. Even like a tree, how a flower sprouted and how it gave birth to something else that gave life to something else. It's like, it's insane how everything is, it revolves, where it's all the same. It really is.
Yeah,
it is.
Good. This is exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing tailor-made regenerative housing ecosystems. So it's all about that, crafting your life, like from the inside out. And you're talking about crafting yourself, which is what we promote actually, like crafting yourself in order for you to induce that state or exude that state of mind towards the whole environment. That's the only way of regenerating. And when you have like these things that you're talking about and you're really appreciating them, wow. I think life is all about that appreciation.
But a lot of people just, I don't know, they just don't strip down the layers of things. And that's just where I wish they taught this in schools more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if we can't teach them in school, then every day is a learning lesson for ourselves, and to use as an opportunity to, and not to force the learning lesson, but just embrace whoever does want to go on that journey with you, and to learn and to teach. And I feel like there's always opportunities everywhere to share, but more from a sharing space, if anything. I've been in positions where I'm like, whoa, someone's trying to force feed me. And I'm like, oh, like, leave me out of your journey. I don't like being force fed. Don't force feed me anything. Let me go on my own. If you want to be a support through it, fantastic. That's where I think you start to build the trust more, is when you just ease into it and it comes from an authentic place of wanting to share. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're talking about something really important, which is like how we grow or we raise children from this authoritarian like place where we ask them to be what society wants them to be, instead of allowing them to be themselves and appreciating what they really are and all their abilities and all their beauty and their innocence and their creativity, and they're finding solutions all the time. Like, you're talking about something really important there.
And the guidance is important too. So it's like, if you're in the position to allow people to be, but help with the guidance when you believe in them, and you care about them to want them to be their best, then I feel like that's different. But it needs to go with guidance as well. You know what I mean? Like in mentoring as well, is like, I feel like in my entire career, I've had to mentor a lot of people. And the reality there is you have to care enough about people to give them feedback. And sometimes people don't take feedback well, but if they know that the person who's giving the feedback cares, then they're more receptive to take it back. And they may not take it right then and there, but they may come back a year later and say, you know what, remember that thing you said about a year ago? Well, I've done that. I've done that in my own relationships too. I have friends, as I told you, I think I've always my entire life preferred, tough love, where people are very direct with me. And so I don't know, I might come off as very direct as well, and, to a detriment, but I feel like I've become softer the older I am. It's this balance of, nourishing, but yet being direct when I need to be,
Totally.
Definitely need that balance.
Or sometimes a little shaking. I'm kidding.
Just a little.
Just a little.
But sometimes it's necessary, but as long as it comes from a position of love, right?
That's what the Asian parents say. It's like, this is a slap. Well, it came from love. That was a slap of love. I mean, disciplinary. Yeah. No, my mom never slapped me. She was actually quite gentle. Like I didn't get the normal Asian mom treatment growing up.
You know what? Speaking of your mom, I did want to ask you about her, because I remember listening to your podcast, and it's you have so many amazing guests on there. I mean, it's hard to believe that you would have ever stumbled or felt resistance, or sort of felt that imposter syndrome about whether you should keep going, because you're used to being at this really high level and not wanting to appear like a beginner, which I think is a really beautiful statement for you to share, because I know a lot of people probably feel like that when they're starting a new venture after they've been doing something else that they've been incredibly successful at, and just being able to put aside the ego that's in that and say, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start this new beginning, and I'm gonna allow it to take me where it takes me. I just had to say that because it's such a beautiful message. But I listened to your episodes, and you were talking about your mom in one of your episodes and how she started your definition of beauty. So tell me a little bit about what you learned from your mother that helped you to understand the importance of inner beauty and outer beauty and how to bridge them.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say is my mom is a very strong, innately human being to go through what she went through as an immigrant, and to get to the U.S. I can't even remember how old she was. So by the time she reached the U.S. on boat, she was 21, I believe. And you can imagine 21 with a 4-year-old child and a newborn baby, not knowing the language whatsoever. To me, that's insane. And to go through the hardships of what not just her, but many Vietnamese women went through as they were fleeing their country on boat was insane. And to be a single woman with nobody else along her side to help guide her is nuts. So, what I've always taken from my mom is the strength, and that, no matter what comes up, no matter what calamities come up, whatever feels difficult, is you will always get through it. That it's only a temporary moment that you are experiencing. I love my mom to death. I learned that from her, but I also had to unlearn a couple things too. I think that, being raised by an immigrant mom, there were a lot of things like self-love and this idea of self-care was considered a luxury growing up. Like, there was no talk about self-care. She was not very gentle as we were growing up. They didn't have time to be gentle to their kids. They went to work and they told you to be studious and go to school and whatever. And we weren't really taught those things. So I think, through time, we just have to give ourselves the things that we were missing as kids, and to embrace her story of the difficulties that she went through. And because I appreciate her giving me life, I almost didn't have a life. If it wasn't for her strength of standing up to, the captains and keeping the seed of life in her belly and getting me to the US, I wouldn't have been born. So for me, I feel like I owe it to her, but to myself, the responsibility to live to the fullest, and not just to live to the fullest, but to make an impact with every footstep that I make, with every thought that I make. And so I am quite hard on myself when I have a discrepancy that happens in my brain and I'm experiencing a moment. But yeah, I don't know if you follow the Enneagram or not. There's like a couple different Enneagram types, but it takes like the personality is quite the in depth. And so I'm considered an Enneagram 4. And what they say about Enneagram 4s is that we focus too much on what we don't have. That's been a big fault of mine for a very long time, is to focus on the things that I don't have. And I forget sometimes to breathe into everything that's beautiful and to be a little bit more compassionate to myself. Like I know that I'm definitely the hardest person on myself for sure. And the same amount of love that I give everybody else around me, I'm trying to tell myself in my adult years to give myself the same and to just be more compassionate. But for my mom, definitely it's a strength factor, and it's the like I got my eye of fashion and for beauty absolutely from her. She was like my first, as soon as I opened my eyes, and I remember like really looking up at her, thinking she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And even through her challenges, my mom went through like lupus and went through a lot of health conditions, and today still has a lot of health conditions. She's on antidepressants and like just really went through a lot in life, but yet she still holds her head up strong. She still takes care of her kids. She still smiles through it. She still parties. Like you would never know all the things that she went through upon meeting her, because she's so resilient and so vibrant. And I feel like beauty is also resilience. It's the ability to stand up stronger anytime you fall down, and anytime you're presented with a challenge in life. We've got to continue to build grit as human beings, to be stronger for ourselves and each other, and to not throw shade either. I think a lot of times in this society, people think that you have to be a bitch to get ahead in life. You have to, and I don't think that's true. I think setting boundaries is important for yourself and for others, but it's not necessary to you know what I mean, to be mean at any time. It's not necessary. Yeah, it's not necessary. I think, boundaries are important, but the more you can share your learnings and the more you can work on yourself, the better the world is. So my big lesson for everyone is to keep working on whatever it is that is going to make you feel better and that's going to make you feel at your best. Keep going. And I'm still learning it. Like, it's easier for me to say, but of course there's moments when I have to practice on myself. I'm like, but this is why I have good friends like Kia to remind me to, I think sometimes when you have people that you meet in your life that are true friends that become family, they help shed a light on you when you experience these moments of temporary amnesia. Because we'll have those moments where we're like, oh, what am I doing? Or how did I get here? And those people are there because they know you so well. They'll remind you of where the path is or where the light is. And they'll remind you of what you told yourself once. So, those people are so, they're like, hold them dear and near to your heart and embrace them and find them and find your tribe. But the tribe only happens when you work on yourself.
That's so true. I just want to point out that it looks like I'm leaving a comment to myself right now, but surprise, it is the queen herself, my love, Gloria Goldberg, and Gloria G, popping in to say hello and say hi to all of us from Costa Rica. So
what part of Costa Rica is she in?
Gloria. Gloria. Oh, did she? I think she just popped off. She said her reception was bad, so we might have lost her. But I forget the name of the little town she's in. She's in the mountains, but she's like very close to the beach. Oh my gosh, I can't
know. Where is she? North? Is she east or west? Or
all I can remember at this time is that she's 5 hours from San Jose because she's always driving there.
But is she? Do you know if she's east or west?
Oh, there she's back. She said she's in and out. I think her Uvita. That's right, Uvita.
Uvita, yes. Is that north or is that west or east? I'll look it up later. That's what the Google is for.
Yeah, we're gonna have to Google it, honey. Oh wait,
well, we've got to actually visit her.
Some love.
Okay, you're gonna have to go visit her. Costa Rica is such a beautiful country.
She's coming back in like a week. And I am like, I'm happy because I love she'll be stateside and her reception will be better and I can talk to her more. But and she's like on this we say in tarot the hermit journey. So she's in this like inner journey. She went to Costa Rica. She's been there 3 months on her own, and she's coming back this month, which I'm happy for, but I'm also sad because I didn't get to see her in Costa Rica. But I know that she's probably going to buy land there and all of this. So I'll get to go back and witness the construction of her compound, which will be probably a female retreat at some point. So I'm sure we'll all be there. and hopefully there'll be wine, because that's our favorite thing, Twee.
I keep saying that I keep meaning to return to Costa Rica, but I feel like there's so much to see. But I fell in love with Costa Rica the first trip that I went. Actually, it was my first international trip, and the people were so lovely. They were so nice. I mean, and it was like for one journey led to the next, and it was a really incredible journey there. Yeah, that's exciting. So exciting for you, for everyone involved. Yeah,
I cannot wait to go and see her there. It's going to be amazing when next I can go back. The pictures. So as I have always said a million times, if you don't follow Gloria Gold 1111 on Instagram, then you are missing out on her crazy and amazing stories that she posts every day. And she's always talking about transformation and spirituality and growth and change and beauty. And she's just so amazing. So we definitely miss her here on Hot Topics, but we recognize that she has to do what she has to do to become her best self and happiest self. And so it's always all love. It's always all love. So,
and she's too.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, she popped up today, which was such a gift. So, so we are at 1 hour and 6 minutes. So we're probably going to wrap up the show. And it looks like we've lost Diana. Speaking of connectivity issues. So, yeah, I want to tell you that I have one more question before we wrap it up, if you don't mind, if you don't have to rush off.
My friend, never.
Awesome. So my question for you is, what advice would you give to people for them to take their beauty to the next level and, transcend the limitations that they may have experienced or put on themselves as far as feeling beautiful and expressing their inner beauty?
What I'm going to say is that, it starts with knowing that you're worth it, and whatever beauty means something different to everyone. So what I would advise you to do is to start there, is to think about, what does beauty really mean to you, and where do you see yourself beautiful? So that's where you can start to grow the routines in the areas where you already see yourself beautiful, whether it's, inner and outer. Start working there, and don't overwhelm yourself by by going from a 1-step routine to a 15-step routine. Start little by little is what I'm going to say. And it is about the journey, and it's about asking yourself the next day, did I do better than the day before? And to start little by little. So as I said, if your journey was you started in the world of beauty and you've got the routine down, but yet you're feeling unfulfilled, then I'm going to say start asking yourself more spiritual questions, maybe get more connected with intention, and now start working on the inner part of yourself so that you do become more beautiful and you have a beauty that's more long lasting than this that could disappear any day. You know what I mean? But if you've already done the inner work and you're like, you know what, I want to elevate my skincare, and I do want to put on that, that lipstick when I'm out, or it's color that makes me feel good, then one step at a time is what I'm going to say. Or go seek an advisor in the beauty arena, or listen to some podcasts like ours. and the resources are out there, but start following people where you feel like you trust where they're going to take you. But I think it's ultimately about that connection. It's about doing the research and asking yourself the question of what does beauty mean to you, and where do you find yourself the most beautiful, and start there, so that you are feeding and you're nourishing and you're empowering yourself in those particular ways. So I think it's ultimately about embracing self-care and knowing that you're worth it, and knowing that when you come from a place of feeling good, everyone benefits. You benefit, the world around you benefits, but you do have to start with you. And I think as women, you know, as we get older, we forget about ourselves. We're the first person that we forget about, and we need to go back to remembering ourselves. And I think not only as women, but just everyone in general, I think even men that are listening, is to go back to yourself and to keep trying for yourself and the ones you love. Don't give up on your relationships, or don't give up on you until you know that you've done everything that you could.
Absolutely beautiful. And I love that you said start with something that you love. I usually tell people, like, I mentor a lot of younger women, and when I tell people, if they are struggling to find something that they love, you know, within themselves, there's got to be one thing that you don't hate, right? Right? Like for me, and there was a time, well, you wouldn't believe it, but I went through a whole long period of self-loathing, right? And there was a time where I didn't put on a drop of makeup for days, and I was fine with it. I was totally okay with it. But there is no problem with that, actually. The problem was that I enjoy putting on makeup and I like doing it. So it was me not being true to who I was because of how I was feeling. So I had a lot of things to work through. And there was a time where I had a period of self-loathing, right? And I think we all get hard on ourselves sometimes. But one of the things that helped me to pull myself through it was to find something that I did like about myself. And maybe it could be that, you know, I'm reasonably intelligent, or it could be, you know, you like, you know, that you are athletic, or you like, there's something that you can latch onto that you like about yourself, male or female, right? That you're good at, maybe something.
I think also you can develop that. So say you're a person that, you know, you just were handed a shitty bunch of cards, right? And maybe you didn't grow up in an environment where you were taught love in any capacity whatsoever, is you can find those things. And I think that starts with going deep inside yourself and asking yourself to step up in another role, and to maybe embrace your inner parent, and to give that inner child that needs love, that will tell you the things that make you beautiful, and to embody those things. So it's like sometimes stepping into a different persona. We all have different versions of ourselves that are being pulled in different directions. There, you know, it's funny. There's a deck of cards called the self cards, where it talks about, you know, your primary self is the self that you lead with. It's the self that the world knows you as. And your disowned self is the sides that you basically push down. So I think it's also important to ask, what sides have you pushed down that actually do need some love, and what sides have you pushed down that you were afraid to be vulnerable, or afraid to have the world embrace? If you're afraid of the world embracing it, I think it's important for you to embrace it individually first, and to start with that practice of saying, like, it's okay. You went through, you know, XYZ while you were growing up, and to give it to yourself first. And the more you can give it to yourself first, everything else in life will start improving. That's when you will start to attract the books that you were meant to read, attract the people that you were meant to attract. But you can't do that until you acknowledge, like, okay, I was in a shitty situation, but it is up to you to take yourself out of it. And I think that's where people falter, is that they're like, okay, well, you know, life shit on me, and so I'm just gonna be a fucked up person, and because they shit on other people. No, that's not the way to go. The way to go is to say, it can change. We can rewire our brains. We are not our conditioning, but it starts with just the breath work, the awareness, and the practice of reshifting. It's not enough to sit there and manifest and whatever. Thinking is one thing. There is power in thought, but there's more power when your thoughts align with what your behaviors are. And this is, you know, ultimately the biggest learning lesson I learned in the last 2 years is matching my behavior with my thinking, and not just, you know, thinking all these positive things and expecting them to happen without me changing my behavior. A lot of people do.
It's true. It's true. I did too.
Yeah.
But it's habits. It's what habits you have. and what actions you're going to take and what's the next right action you can do to bring that manifestation to life. And finding something, latching on to something that you can love about yourself, whether it's your eyes or your hair, or that, start with that one thing and then allow things to
My dad
grow
is
from
playing
there.
the piano.
My son comes in. He didn't come in today and play, but I have a piano right here too, and it's happened before, so it's really funny that it just happened to you. At least it's not only me when I'm live. That's what happens. But Diana, I know that you have things to add to that, because Twee just
Yeah,
said
no,
some
no, no.
really
I
powerful
completely
stuff.
feel like, I mean, the thought is where everything's born because that's what we're going to follow. But we have to take that conviction or the feeling that eventually becomes that acting, that habit, that, how did you call it? Behavior, right? We're going to behave as we're convinced we have to do. So I think completely like it's a full union. If we see it in the spiritual world, it's like the male element and the female element like coming together and making love. That's it. It's like I'm giving birth to this like new being, which is me. Hello.
A beautiful new being. And I love,
Yeah.
Gloria had some input too about feeling emotions and letting them come, but also recognizing them, and you can't be in them for too long. So yeah, we do. We all get into that moment.
I'm good at sitting in them for a very long time, but I feel like I've gotten better of like, I need to sit in them though. I know that I'm someone who is very introspective. And if I don't sit in them, nothing's going to happen. So I think it's important for everyone to sit in it and to see them for what they are, but don't sit in it too long where you're self-loathing. You know what I mean? Because that's not going to benefit
Exactly. That's going too far.
To be the victim,
the other way.
It's not going to benefit anyone. But to now give space to how you can reshift and how you can practice the behavior reshifting. It is funny. My brother once just said to me, "Things are as difficult as you make it." I'm like, no, there are some things that are really hard. And what I'm just practice is hard. It's hard, but that's the reality. But the most beautiful things do come from difficult situations, is what I'm learning through life. And the most beautiful things do evolve through the struggles we go through the challenges that we chose to overcome. And I say that, I'm going to say that loudly again, is that we chose to overcome it, not anybody else. Nobody else did that for us. But that's where we can actually take ownership and say that I did that nobody else gave that to me. I took the responsibility of seeing something for what it was, but saying, you know what, it's okay. It is what it is, but how can I be more solution based? And we just need more of that. So think, how can we be solution based? Sit in the feelings, but think about what your next move is. And that's how to live more constructively.
I love that. Well, we are at 1 hour and 17 minutes. So I want to say thank you so much, Twee, for being a guest today, and and just being awesome and amazing and incredible, and being part of my girl gang, and just sharing your light with everyone who is able to watch this and hear your message. It's just, I know it's going to create millions of ripples into the world of positive and self-love and just wonderful things. So thank you.
As I always say, though, like does attract light. So I see the same in both of you. So thank you for having me on. It's been such a pleasure. And yeah, let's do this again soon.
we sure will. So tell me, before I put you in the green room, where we can find you. I've got right here that you can find Twee on Instagram, obviously at the Rah. But where else can we find you if we want to follow along with you?
Okay, you can find me on the Instagram at Rah. You can find me on my podcast at the Rah Beauty. And then you can, for more information, if you want like private inquiries or what have you, if you just want to chat and you want resources, you can reach me at info at therahraw.net. And I'm pretty quick at responding. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Well, Twee, I would love it if you would drop the website that you just put as a comment after the show, so that it's there so people can see it. And Diana, I know you wanted to say goodbye to Twee too.
Yeah, completely. Thank you so much, Twee. I think it's amazing. I was thinking about this when you were talking about the victimism and we were talking about the cultures and you're coming from this like immigrant mother as you say it. I was thinking about this song and maybe I want to sing a little piece if that's okay
You're
with
so
you.
cute.
Twee.
Yes, go for it.
This one is called La Llorona because I know in the Enneagram also it's the number four. It's a lot about yeah exploring that drama and then like learning how to put limits to yourself also. And I'm supposed to be a number two,
Oh, you're
so
number two. Okay.
Hmm.
I
yeah.
think
So it's very
I can't
interesting.
remember. You're like the nurturer or something, right?
Like the seductive, like all these like femme fatale, blah blah blah. Um,
The Enneagram. Okay, anyways, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's okay because it's all about like learning how to shift those emotions.
Okay.
So this song is La Llorona, and it's a folkloric song in Mexico, and I can sing a little piece.
Excellent.
Todos me dicen el negro llorona, negro pero cariñoso. Todos me dicen el negro llorona, negro, pero cariñoso. Yo soy como el chile verde, llorona picante, pero sabroso. Yo soy como el chile verde, llorona picante, pero sabroso. Ay de mi llorona, llorona, de azul celeste. Ay de mi llorona, llorona, de azul celeste. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Ah,
Wow. Bravo.
Amazing! I have goosebumps everywhere. Gloria said that was her song.
that's amazing. Yeah, that's for you, Twee.
We
Thank
want to
you
see
so
you
much.
perform that in Nevada City. Or where?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some musicians there and like just build it up.
I'm so excited for your
Including yourself.
singing career. I love it so much. Thank you for singing again, Diana. I can't thank you enough. Oh my gosh, Twee, it has been a fucking pleasure. As always.
Completely,
I think
completely.
what is funny is there's some words I can't say without adding the curse word. It just adds so much more emphasis and it's so much more powerful. I don't know.
So,
Thank you.
It was
just
fucking
love you
amazing.
so much. That's right. So that being said, I'm going to put you in the green room. We're going to wrap up the show. If you can stick around for a few, we'll say a proper goodbye. If not, I'll understand.
Yeah.
All right, honey. See you in a minute.
Yep.
Wow. What did you think about that interview, Diana?
I think it's amazing. I feel what Twee is talking about is so important for each human being. It's so important to raise children with this consciousness. It's so important to build ourselves in that way with like acknowledging our inner beauty. There was this moment in life where I was like feeling so ugly and so like down. And then one day I was seeing this picture of Frida Kahlo, and like she's so horrible, but I was like, how come like people admire her so much and see her so beautiful, and like she had like the mustache and the like the clothes like. I was, why am I feeling like, why the fuck am I feeling like so bad? Oh, ciao, Gloria. So I feel like, yeah, we like as ugly as we can see ourselves. The only thing that matters is how we see ourselves, and that's what we're gonna project. that's what we're gonna attract. And I feel that's very important. I am so grateful with Twee since day one. Since I met her, I was like, wow, this is an empowered woman. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
She's a bad bitch. I can't get enough of them. I collect them. That's what I do. So but I love it. I
Yeah.
love it because you feed off that energy and that beauty and that like, and it's not just, she's incredibly gorgeous to look at. But when you get to talk to her and you get to feel that energy and that soul and that just real inner beauty, it's not a surprise to me that she helps people, transcend that exterior beauty and really develop their inner beauty and become even more beautiful, right? Because that's what the
Yes.
real beauty is, right? You can, like she said earlier, you can be stunning, but if you're a horrible person inside, you're immediately disgusting. Like it's just, it ruins it
Completely.
all,
And
right?
she has gone so, like through so many obstacles. Like she was talking about, she had some trouble like talking, and she speaks like so fluidly, like all
And
the
she does
time. I'm like,
speeches. She's just a public speaker.
she's the
So it's
best
amazing.
speaker ever.
Yeah, she's incredible. I can't say
So
enough good
yeah.
things. I can't say enough good things. And I also can't say enough good things about you, Diana, because
Mm.
that was a beautiful song. And what a blessing to hear you sing again. And to have you as my co host tonight. I really appreciate you. It has been so fun to hang out with you. And I hope that everyone will follow along with you on your journey, listening to your podcast and following you on Instagram. And I'm sure that you'll come back and co host with me again.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity, Kia. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and I admire you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, honey. And with that, we're going to wrap up the show. If you have made it this far, then you're our family. So you need to just follow and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Don't hesitate. Just subscribe, hit that little subscription, smash the like button, hit subscribe, share this with people, let everybody know we're here and we're out here and we are just trying to make a positive impact in the world and share love with everybody and create that ripple effect, right? So if you don't know me by now, I'm Kia Baker. I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, Women Warrior Stories, and success coach at London Real Academy. We will be back next week on Wednesday. Our episode is on Wednesday next week. I have a great guest for you, another co host. So you'll have to follow me on Instagram at Hot Topics the Podcast to find out who the guest is going to be and who the guest host is going to be and what we're going to be talking about. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So follow me on Instagram at Creativity or at Hot Topics the Podcast. You can listen to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Yeah, here, this is all my information. You can follow me and tune in each week. We're going to be on one episode a week now, either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where my guest is from, because it's a global show. So my guests are from everywhere. And so to accommodate them, we're switching it up. And I am blessed with beautiful co-hosts like Diana to come and hang out with me, and just beautiful guests like Twee to just share their beautiful knowledge and insight and their beautiful hearts with all of you. So like I said, if you are watching on Facebook, make sure you follow. If you are watching on YouTube, like and share. Everybody just share, spread the word, and let's build this community of people who are like-minded, beautiful souls that want to share love with the rest of the collective or humanity, whatever you believe in. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you next week and have a great week. Until then.